In the summer of 2008, competitive swimming fractured. A single piece of wearable technology entered the pool, and within weeks the athletes wearing it captured 98% of all Olympic medals and broke 25 world records. Michael Phelps stood on the podium in Beijing, weighed down by 8 gold medals, cementing the most dominant individual performance in the history of the Games. Look closely at the data from those 2 weeks. Out of the 25 global records shattered in Beijing, 23 of them were achieved by swimmers locked inside exactly the same model of Speedo swimsuit. The gradual historical curve of human athletic progress had vanished. The Beijing Games became a highly visible exhibition of an engineered advantage. The gravity of this technological advantage became undeniable when the Japanese national swim team arrived in Beijing. These athletes were bound by strict, highly lucrative sponsorship contracts with domestic brands like Mizuno and Asics. Neither of those companies produced a suit with this new engineering. The performance gap was so severe that the Japanese head coach stated bluntly if his swimmers did not wear the Speedo suit, they could not compete. The National Federation actually gave their athletes permission to breach their own contracts and wear the rival brand. The LZR Racer became a mandatory entry fee. To even step onto the starting block at the elite level, athletes were now required to possess this specific equipment. Speedo marketed this dominance with a compelling narrative. They claimed their engineers had built a biomimetic replica of the ocean's fastest predator, the short-fin mako shark. Sharkskin is covered in millions of microscopic tooth-shaped scales called dermal denticles. Looking at this microscopic view, you can see how these denticles form precisely overlapping, aligned ridges. When a body moves through water, the boundary layer creates massive drag. Instead of fighting turbulence, the shark's ridged geometry channels water into orderly microvortices. These ridges also create a localized suction effect that pulls the shark forward. This elegant story of biological mimicry captured the world's attention, but it also perfectly masked the brutal industrial reality of why the suit was actually working. The true origin of the Speedo LZR Racer traces back to a 4-year collaboration with aerospace engineers at NASA's Langley Research Center, a facility dedicated to studying the aerodynamics of supersonic aircraft. In 2012, Harvard biologist George Lochte tested Speedo's fabric on a robotic foil. He found that the material provided zero consistent drag reduction compared to smooth fabric, completely debunking the Sharkskin mechanical claim. What made the suit so fast were these distinct glossy panels made of polyurethane. This plastic material is completely impermeable. It repelled water entirely and trapped a thin layer of air against the body, adding massive passive buoyancy. Engineers abandoned traditional thread. Beams were fused using ultrasonic acoustic vibrations, creating a perfectly flat surface. Finally, a hydroform system compressed the athletes 70 times tighter, locking the swimmer's body into a rigid hydrodynamic tube. This was an aerospace-engineered plastic corset, designed to transform the human body into a frictionless speedboat. By the 2009 World Championships, rivals realized polyurethane was the defining variable. Companies like Arena arrived with full bodysuits constructed entirely out of impermeable plastic. Swimmers quickly figured out they could multiply the trapped air effect. Competitors began painfully squeezing into 2 or 3 of these restrictive suits at the exact same time just to maximize their artificial buoyancy. The system broke completely when German swimmer Paul Biedermann stepped to the blocks fully encased in an Arena X glide suit and cleanly defeated Michael Phelps, who was wearing a significantly less buoyant model. When 43 world records fall in a single week, and the most decorated Olympian loses a race entirely due to an equipment deficit, the competition devolves into an open farce. In July 2009, the global governing body for swimming FINA finally intervened. FINA voted almost unanimously to ban all impermeable materials like polyurethane, mandating a strict return to woven, water-permeable textiles. The crisis popularized the term technological doping, a label for equipment that bypasses a human's physiology to artificially inflate their performance. 8 years later, marathon runners faced a nearly identical dilemma with the Nike Vaporfly, a carbon fiber shoe that gave a proven 4% efficiency boost. Yet, those shoes were regulated, not banned. Look at how regulators justify the difference. A carbon fiber plate returns the force the athlete's own foot pushes into the ground, but an impermeable plastic swimsuit traps air and provides free lift using the water's own physics to float the athlete. The polyurethane suit was outlawed because of its inaccessible $600 price point, and because its external physics shifted the sport from a test of biology into a test of corporate procurement. The sweeping ban left Speedo with millions of dollars of highly engineered, instantly illegal inventory sitting uselessly in warehouses overnight. It also left competitive swimming with permanent scars. Today, an entire generation of world records set between 2008 and 2009 remains unbroken, an asterisk era completely out of reach for modern athletes wearing legal fabrics. Strangely, the marketing myth Speedo sold actually accelerated real biomimicry research. Today, genuine shark-identical textures are applied to commercial aircraft to cut fuel consumption and mapped onto hospital surfaces to physically block bacterial growth. Human engineering now outpaces our own physical evolution. The remaining obstacle is our definition of what's human.